Hey weirdos, this is Evan Jarvix with Make Oklahoma Weirder, and this is your local music vlog for the week. Um, it is Friday morning, and I know it's been a couple weeks. We took off for Thanksgiving, but we're back now. I got sent some music, so I'm gonna jump into that. Open Honest is a new project, relatively new project from Felix Rodriguez. It's a kind of an instrumental project. He's put out a couple of like albums on Bandcamp, and there's like a new one that's coming out on the 7th. So got to listen to that. If you're into really acoustic guitar, I think is kind of like the common thread with all of it, with just a really chill kind of. I mean, I wouldn't say that it's like stale or boring in any way, because I think a lot of times stuff that could be considered easy listening is sometimes just considered very bland. But some of his stuff reminds me of like actual good, easy listening music that's kind of stimulating and kind of interesting without being like at the forefront. Like some of it feels like background music. But not in a way that's just, like I said, bland or anything. The new project actually incorporates a little bit of kind of some hip-hop elements, just in the sense of like electronic beat making and things, kind of melding with an acoustic sensibility, which I think is nice. But I like, more than anything, across the stuff that I've heard, I like just kind of the overall feel. Everything's very laid back. Everything's very calm, I guess. And I think that has a lot to do with the dude himself, who I don't know that much about Felix. We've probably talked. I want to say I talked to him like a couple years ago, like at a show. But like in general, just through observation, I mean, kind of the stuff that he's done, as far as like, the Norman enterprises he's been involved with. Just super chill dude. And I think it comes through on his music. And so I do recommend it. Look out for the new music, which is dropping in a week, December 7th. But yeah, thanks for sending me stuff. And it's if you're into kind of like that chill stuff, if you want something to study to, I think, it kind of fits that bill too. So yeah, if you don't know Felix, I know him primarily through Costello. I guess I didn't make that clear a second ago, but that's the show that I'm referring to. Costello, if you don't know, rock music band, spearheaded by Claire Costello. I reviewed them back in 2015. They were one of the first bands I really gave a proper album review to, so I've been a fan since then. They put out a great album last year. They were on the Norman Music Fest main stage this past year. They keep putting out quality stuff. They dropped a single just a couple months ago called Surge, which is really good. I really like how they deal with, really pertinent issues in an emotional, personal, yet universal way, I think. And, they kind of get relegated to the psych rock category, but I think they're maybe even more alternative, especially when it comes to songs like that. I like the way that they use music to express certain things, and it's a good project. You should look into Costello if you're not aware of Costello. I also know Felix from the Cafe, which I sort of implied earlier. This is a new business in Campus Corner, in Norman. The Cafe, it's kind of like a cannabis thing, they're popping up everywhere. But this place, Life Organics Cafe, has jumped like both feet in on live music, which I'm really excited about, because they're doing shows that are all ages, they're free, and they're early in the day, and you just don't get a whole lot of that in Norman. And if you do, it tends to be like a very specific kind of music, kind of singer-songwritery, very casual. And I mean, this is casual too, but there's some singer songwriter stuff here, but I've also seen like maybe some full band type stuff here. I hope they can continue to do this and continue to grow that, because Norman needs more all ages venues desperately, consistent ones too. I love Resonator, but Resonator only has shows like every once in a while. So shout out to the Cafe. Gotta move on from there. Um, there's one thing I was going to touch on. So this new album from Open Honest is coming out in December, and that's kind of a reminder to me, to let you know December's generally the worst month to put out an album. I mean, if you do it, that's fine. Tons of people do it. But if you look at like major commercial releases, you tend to not see a whole lot of new stuff. I mean, it'll happen. You know, if you're Beyonce, you can get away with dropping a complete visual album in December and people will pay attention to it. But if you don't have that kind of draw, then it's really easy to get lost in the shuffle. As far as journalism goes, if you're wanting coverage, everybody's already talking about end of the year lists. I'm already seeing them come out here in November, where people are already counting down their best albums of the year. And it's like, there's a whole month to go, but that's the way it is. That's the way the news cycle is, you know? And Ryan LaCroix agrees with me. That's actually kind of where I picked up on this, because it's an observation I made. But if you follow Ryan LaCroix, who is behind Oklahoma Rock Show and is involved in KOSU and all that stuff, he sends out a yearly reminder and he says, don't put out your albums in December. And I'm already seeing a lot of albums that are slated to come out. So just a word of advice. If you put your album out in December, it's much harder to get coverage because everybody's busy. It's the holidays. It's easy to get lost in the shuffle. A lot of people are listening to holiday music, and that's what a lot of the releases are. And then on top of that, everybody's already putting out their best of lists. You know, they're not necessarily looking for new stuff. And I've missed a lot of, like, just last year, there was a lot of good records that dropped, that I just, you know, it came out, like, right at the end, and I just, like, completely missed them. And then when January hits, January has tons of new music in and of itself, too. So just a word of advice, hold out till January if you can, and ride that 2019 if you can. Yeah, I got some time here. I want to talk about The Lonelies. So, speaking of the rock show, when I'm going through my year-end list, which I'm currently starting to write, Oklahoma Rock Show has their weekly playlist that they put on Facebook, and I go through that thing just to make sure I didn't miss anything. It's a great resource. Obviously, listen to the Oklahoma Rock Show. If you don't, follow them, especially on Twitter. It's a great place to engage with them as you're listening. But one of the things that I totally missed was this band called The Lonelies out of Tulsa, who put out this album called Wall of Love, I think it's called. So, had to check that out, listen to it. And it's a really good record. I'm kind of upset that I missed it. It came out in the summer and just completely missed it. And it's great. It's, you know, kind of a rock and roll, but with a classic feel. Lots of kind of vocal harmonies and things like that. I feel like this is a band that would pair well with like the Lunar Laugh or Bo Jennings as far as like songwriting sensibility, and sort of, yeah, just sound in general. A bit of a power pop element to it. Just fun. And thoughtful. Like really, really good recording. Really catchy moments. So I wanted to shout out the Lonelies because I just haven't ever talked about them. And I honestly don't know much about them. I know they're probably a big deal in Tulsa, but I've never seen them on a bill down here. So, oh man, there's a lot to talk about. With my 30 seconds, I do want to point out there's a show happening in Stillwater tomorrow. That's December the 1st. 5 bands. It's a house show, and it's huge. It's Goodfella, Ben Quad, Cliff Diver, Brooding, and My Heart and Liver are the best of friends, which I was not going to go to shows this month, but this is a show I may have to go to, because that is a crazy good lineup.